Poetry is the only event that allows the use of a book. In a collection of poems by Taylor Molly, state finalist Matt Israel portrays a teacher's dedication and inspires all to become better people.
He says, the problem with teachers is what's a kid going to learn from someone who decided his best option in life is to become a teacher? I mean, you're a teacher, Taylor. Be honest. What do you make? Our generation seems to have lost a sense of respect. Respect for our elders, respect for those around us, and respect for ourselves. We also seem to have lost a sense of individuality. And as Oscar Wilde once said, a man who does not think for himself does not think at all. Author Taylor Molly sarcastically reminds us of respect, urges us to regain our individuality, and inspires us to speak with conviction in this collection of poems by Taylor Molly. Miracle Workers. Sunday nights I lie awake, as all teachers do, and wait for sleep to come, like the last student in my class to arrive. My grading is done, my lesson plans are in order, yet sleep wanders the hallways like lower school music. But I'm a teacher, and that's what I do. Like a builder builds, or a sculptor sculpts, a preacher preaches, and a teacher teaches. We are experts in the art of explanation. I know the difference between which questions to answer and which questions to ask. That's an excellent question. What do you think? If two boys are fighting, I break it up. But if two girls are fighting, I wait until that's over and I drag what's left to the nurse's office. I'm not your mother, or your father, or your jailer, or your torturer, or your biggest fan in the whole world, even though sometimes I am all of these things. I know you can do these things that I make you do. That's why I make you do them. But I'm a teacher, and that's what I do. In the quiet hours of the dawn, I write assignment sheets and print them without spell checking them because I'm a teacher and teachers don't make spelling mistakes. So, yes, as a matter of fact, the new dress code will apply to all members of the 5th, 6th, and 78th grades. And if you need an extension on your 55-paragraph essays examining the pubic wars from a hysterical perspective, you have until January 331st. I suspect that's not a problem for anyone. I like to lecture on love and speak on responsibility. I hold forth on humility, compassion, eloquence, and honesty. And when my students ask, are we going to be responsible for this? I answer, if not you, then who? You think my generation is going to be responsible? No. We're the ones that got you into this mess. You're our only hope. And when they say, what I meant is, are we going to be tested on this? I say, every single day of your life. Once I put a pencil on the desk of a student who was digging in her backpack for a pencil, but she didn't see me do it. So when I walked to the other side of the room, she raised her hand to ask if she could borrow a pencil. I intoned, in the name of Socrates and Jesus and all the gods of teaching, I declare you already possess everything you'll ever need. Shut up! You are the weirdest teacher I've ever met in my...
Oh my God! You're a miracle worker. How did you do that?
I just gave you what you needed before you had to ask for it. You see, education is the miracle. I'm just the worker. But I'm a teacher, and that's what we do. Totally like whatever. In case you hadn't noticed, it has somehow become totally uncool to sound like you know what you're talking about, or believe strongly in what you're saying. Invisible question marks and parenthetical you knows have been attaching themselves to the ends of our sentences, even when those sentences aren't like questions, you know? Declarative sentences. So called because they used to like declare things to be true. I suppose those other things, which are like not, have been affected by a totally hip and tragically cool interrogative tone. You know? Like, don't think I'm uncool just because I've noticed this, okay? It's just like the word on the street, you know? It's like what I've heard. I have nothing personally invested in my own opinions, okay? I'm just inviting you to join me on the bandwagon of my own uncertainty. What has happened to our conviction? Where are the limbs out on which we once walked? Have they been like chopped down with the rest of the rainforest? Or do we have nothing to say? Has society become so, like, totally, absolutely, you know, that it's just gotten to the point where we're just, like, whatever? And so actually our disarticulation-ness is just a clever sort of thing to disguise the fact that we've become the most aggressively inarticulate generation to come along since, you know, a long, long time ago. I entreat you, I implore you, I exhort you, and I challenge you to speak with conviction. To say what you believe in a manner that bespeaks the determination of which you believe it. Because contrary to the wisdom of the bumper sticker, it is not enough these days to simply question authority. You have to speak with it too. What teachers make. He says, the problem with teachers is what's a kid going to learn from someone who decided his best option in life is to become a teacher. He reminds the other dinner guests that it's true what they say about teachers. Those who can do, and those who can't teach. I decide to bite my tongue instead of his, and resist the temptation to remind the other dinner guests that it's also true what they say about lawyers, because we're eating after all, and this is supposed to be polite company. I mean, you're a teacher, Taylor. Be honest. What do you make? And I wish he hadn't done that. Ask me to be honest. Because you see, I have a certain policy about honesty and butt-kicking, which is, if you ask for it, then I have to let you have it. You want to know what I make? I make kids work harder than they ever thought they could. I can make a C+ feel like a Congressional Medal of Honor, and an A- feel like a slap in the face. How dare you waste my time with anything less than your very best. I make kids sit through 40 minutes of study hall in absolute silence. No, you may not work in groups. No, you may not ask a question. Put your hand down. Why won't I let you go get a drink? Because you're not thirsty, you're bored. That's why. I make parents tremble in fear when I call home. Hi, this is Mr. Molly. I hope I haven't called at a bad time. I just want to talk to you about something your son said today. He said, leave the kid alone. I still cry sometimes, don't you? And it was the noblest act of courage I have ever seen. I make parents see their children for who they are and what they can be. You want to know what I make? I make kids wonder. I make them question, I make them criticize, I make them apologize and mean it. I make them write, I make them read. I make them spell definitely beautiful, D-finitely, B-E-A beautiful over and over and over again until they will never misspell either one of these words again. I make them show all of their work in math and write it on their final drafts in English. I make them understand that if you've got this, then you follow this. And if anybody ever tries to judge you based off of what you make, you give them this. Now, let me break it down for you so you know what I say is true. I make the difference. Now, what about you?